Hi everybody, this is Sarah again with more information about succulents and how to make your own succulent container garden. Today we're going to use a lot of different containers. We're going to do some shells, do one in a little shell, this little antique watering can, this little ceramic piece. This is a little teapot, my favorite teapot, and the spout got chipped, so I ground it down and made a hole in the bottom, and it's going to be a succulent garden. It's just a big blue pot I have. This is one with the sunflowers. These will be some larger gardens, obviously. And so first I want to start out by talking about the cultural requiremts for succulents. They're generally very forgiving. The two things that I think will assure your most success is having a really rich but porous soil mix. I like to get the ultra potting mix from American Soil. Their ultra bedding mix works well too, and kind of light potting mix. And then what I do is I mix in about 20% of the little tiny what they call 3/16 lava rock, because they're very porous and they will make air spaces in your soil. So I always drill my containers. We gave a little demonstration on that already. You can grow in containers without holes, but you have to be very careful about the watering, and they don't do as well in the long term. If you want something just for display or last 3 or 4 months, then that's fine. But I tend to always use containers with holes in them. And then those are the two things: is good soil and drainage that will give you the most success with your succulent gardens. Okay, so today what I'm going to start with is one of these a little garden in a shell. I have drilled these shells. I use my Dremel tool, drills through them pretty quickly. And so I'm just going to put a little soil in here, sort of tapping it so that it'll get into the cavity. So there'll be as much soil as possible in there. I collect a lot of things, like at thrift stores, garage sales. People give me things. So I'm always looking for interesting things to make succulent gardens in or to incorporate into my succulent gardens. So this is pretty full. And now I have this little succulent. I'm just going to tuck it in here. This is forget the exact name. This is a kind of crassula. And this one is rooted. You could just use a cutting. I'm just tucking it in there so it stays in nice and snug. Now I could put another one in here. Let's see. This is a pretty big shell. So we could. This is a little sedum, little pork and beans. And both these particular succulents, I'm going to use my scissors to poke a little hole, will get more colorful if they're out in the sun. They'll get some nice red color on them. All right, so there we have a couple of little succulents in there. And then I have all these little shells. I kind of hit the jackpot at a thrift store one day, and somebody was selling their shell collection. So I was able to buy a whole bunch of these little shells, and they're so pretty. So I like to just tuck them in to add a little extra interest. Okay, and that's it, basically. Now, I would rinse this off to get the dirt off, but that's it. Since one of these is just a cutting, I'd probably, wait 4 to 6 weeks before I was going to sell it or give it away to make sure it's rooted. But there's the little shell garden. Here's a little one I did before in a different type of shell. So that's one thing you can do that's a lot of fun. The next one I'm going to be doing is this little blue pot. I'm just going to fill it with soil. Okay, now I think I'm going to use cuttings for this, so I'm going to fill it pretty full. Now sometimes a garden I think is nice with just simplicity. So I think what I'm going to do here is since this is such a beautiful little pot, I'm just going to try some different things and see. Like something like just like that by itself is really pretty. This is Aeonium kiwi, and it's one of the aeoniums that doesn't get real large. So I'm just going to tuck it in here. It's got a few roots because it's been laying around in the tray for a while. And just put a little more soil to kind of... This one, the stem is a little bent because of the position it was in laying in the tray. These have been cut for about 2 months. They're left over from a project that got postponed. And so, put in. And then one thing I like to do, because I think it looks good and also the plants seem to like it, is I'm going to mulch with some stones. This is just some little river gravel. Got this from American Soil. It helps anchor the plant, and somehow they just seem to really, maybe it keeps the moisture even without being too wet. I don't know, but it seems like it really, the plants really like it. Okay, and then I'm gonna kind of water this and kind of rinse it off at the same time. And I just, I could have used any number of succulents in here, but I like the pink and green with the blue, and so that's going to be like, now eventually that's just going to get a little larger. Eventually this one will get a stem and become multi-branched, but it won't get more than about that tall. Now we're going to do the little teapot. I really don't know quite yet what I'm going to put in here. I kind of look at everything I have and think about what'll give a nice contrast, what colors work well together. Try to think in terms of contrast in textures, contrast in height, colors that work well together. This one, the opening's not very big, but there's quite a bit of soil in here, so I think we'll be okay. Kind of piling a lot of things in here. Haven't decided yet if I want to plant something in the spout yet, but that's a possibility too. Okay, so for this one, I'm kind of looking for something tall. And we have these nice, I'm not sure if these are elephant foot or elephant food. This is a nice I believe it's a kind of crassula. Anyway, I'm going to put this in here because I think it'll give some nice height. The base is pretty large, so it needs something a little taller. This one will gradually get large, but not for quite a while, so I think it's going to fit in there all right. Let's see what else would be interesting. Looking for something kind of... I can maybe try that. It doesn't... I'd like to add a little more color. Actually, this will get, when it gets a little more sun, will get nice and orange. And I kind of like, it's got, these are the smooth leaves, and this is kind of a little spiky guy. Okay. Looking for it here. Where's my little? This is a wonderful one. Not really adding much color. This is a little fragrant one. I thought it might be fun because it's so soft. But I think a couple of other things. This is a blanking out on the name of this one. Oh, it's a type of echeveria. Doesn't get real big. It will outgrow this pot eventually, but it'll be fine in here for a while. And then I think I want to put some of this little sedum angelique. It's a beautiful kind of chartreuse color. Hangs down a little bit.
And when you're doing this, are you kind of burying the roots?
Yeah,
or?
I'm burying the stem. These ones have a few roots on them, but they've mostly been cuttings. And I'm going to put more than one in. It's nice to repeat things. Whoopsie. That one looks a little ragged. It's a little hard when I'm looking from the back, but okay. And then I'm going to go ahead with put the gravel in. I don't know, I'd like the gravel. With these particular gardens we've done so far, there's not much exposed soil, but I really do like to cover the soil with something. Use marbles, rocks, shells. I've even used buttons before. Okay, and then here I have a little shell, pretty little white shell. I'm just going to put right there. Maybe another little one in the back here. Okay. I'm going to kind of water it and rinse it off at the same time. This is going to be a bigger one. It's going to give us a lot more room to experiment with. One thing I wanted to tell you that I forgot to mention is that I use this nylon netting over the holes to keep the soil from washing out. Now this I just got at the recycling center because I cut it out of old screen doors that people were getting rid of in the metal bin. But if you don't have access to that, or screens, or window screens, you can recycle the netting on there. But you can also, it's just nylon, you can buy it at Pastime Hardware, any hardware store. So I just put that in there, and it covers the hole so that the soil doesn't wash out. Okay, I'm just gonna fill this with my soil blend. This container is kind of shallow. I think it's just about, it's about 2 inches deep. I don't think I would go any shallower than that. But most succulents spread their roots out. So it's okay to use shallow containers. But I'd say 2 inches is probably your minimum depth. All right. So for this guy, let's see. I think I want to put something a little tall in the back as usual. I do that pretty often. This little Crassula tetragona, these are rooted. I rooted all these about 2 months ago. And they kind of remind me of little trees. I'm probably going to put 3 in here. Sometimes designing things, it's good to use odd numbers. And here's a little variety of height. This one's a little shorter. I don't have another taller one to use, or I would put a taller one in it. Oh, I think of this as like the beginning of my little forest. All right, so I am just sort of thinking as I go along here, looking at all my choices that I have to use. If you were someplace and you didn't have this many, I have quite a few choices because I'm always planting so many succulents. But you could also, if you had a pot in mind that you wanted to use, and you were buying your succulents at a nursery, you could take the pot with you to the nursery, and you could. Hold your pot up. I think I'm going to make a little group of 3 of these. This is one of my favorite little sedums. It gets so bright pink. Okay. Oh, yeah, let's move this out of the way. All right, now I am going to put a little rock in here. I have a lot of rocks I've collected at the beach in various places. And you'll see I'm going to save a little space in here for something I'm going to decorate with at the end. Now these are all little succulents that I know are going to stay small, relatively small. They're not gonna turn into big giants. This guy will get pretty large in the ground, but it'll probably stay pretty small in the pot for a while. And let's see. Around it and look at it this way. All right. Alright. And this is Plectranthus tomentosa. It has a wonderful fragrance. They call it Vicks plant. So I'm going to put 2 of those in. Yes. Getting a few roots here. Okay, and then I have these 3 little Sempervivum arachnoides. They look like they have little spider webs on them.
Hold on. All right.
Okay, so I'm going to take these. I'm going to make kind of a little trail. I'll turn it around so you can see in a minute. Actually, I think I'm going to get 2 more, so it really looks like a trail instead of just a little 3 in a row. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to do kind of a fun little thing. I happen to have a bunch of these little porcelain dogs that somebody gave me. So this garden I'm going to decorate with some of these little dogs. Just for fun. Any kind of little porcelain figures you have or anything. Things that your kids made. I've done outdoor gardens where people put a lot of, this looks like a little blank spot to me. I'm going to put some more of this up here. Where they put ceramic things their kids made years ago. And you can decorate it any way you want. You could also make it, you could do something like this where you have like a little elf. Any little things that you have. I have some little, you could put a little ceramic house in. This is something that I got to make when I was art coaching. But anyway, I'm going to stick with these 3 little dogs. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put the gravel in. Now there's all kinds of different, there's finer gravel, there's, different colors you can get. But I feel like doing this, it gives it another layer of texture, and it sort of gives it a sense of unity. It kind of pulls the whole thing together. We can lift the little dogs up when we're done. And like I said, the plants seem to thrive. Now, I would not recommend using sand for this. I used sand one time, and I don't know what happened, but the plants died. Something about the sand just didn't seem to work. Okay, these are all gonna grow and fill in. It's kind of a living sculpture here. All right. Okay, everybody, now we're on to our ocean-themed garden, which is easy to do with succulents because so many of them look like ocean plants and animals. Anyway, I was especially inspired by this sort of gnarly aloe vera that's been growing under the table in my courtyard and took on this sort of wonderful, I don't know, octopus squid-like shape. So I'm going to start with him right here. And then I am going to, I have this rock, which sort of seems underwatery to me. So I'm just going to put it right there. And I have these beautiful, this is the rickrack orchid cactus. And this is my favorite one. Looks like it could be kelp. Okay, and then I have this little, I have a little crassula. It kind of looks like its leaves are waving under the water. I have another one. Helps your garden have a kind of a little sense of unity when you repeat things. Let's see. That's what I'm aiming for here. All right, and then I have these three, oh, let's see, I'll put this little guy in. Another little seaweedish ocean plant looking. This is crassula, either hobbit or golem. I'm never sure which is which. And then I have these three echeverias or echeveria crosses. Sort of look a little sea anemone-ish. Put the three. This is something slightly different, but it's got a similar form. I did one of these once and I had a little Lego guy, a little undersea Lego guy, which was really fun to put in there. Okay, so I am going to mulch this with the gravel again. But then I'm going to add a few things. Okay, now I have here in my collection. Some wonderful little scallop shells that are really fun to accent your gardens with. This is just kind of more of my little found collection. Right back. Here's some sea glass collected around at the beach locally. Kind of fun. And then last of all, I have some of these funny little
Did you put it down?
starfish. God, I'm blanking out today. Little starfish buttons that I got at the depot for reuse one time. I've got a whole bunch of these if anybody wanted to get some from me. Okay. And I could little piece of coral. Can't tell if I'm overdoing it from the back. Oh, I think that's looking pretty good. All right. So in a couple of weeks, when all this is settled in, it'll be looking especially good. I'm gonna water it in a few minutes, and then I'll show it to you at the end. Lastly, I have this beautiful pot someone gave me, and so I am going to, the pot is so beautiful, the garden is going to be pretty simple, okay? And this is, I'm using aeoniums, 3 different varieties. This is Aeonium Sunburst, grew it from a cutting. This plant gets about, it will grow and branch out, but it maxes out at about, I'd say, about 20, 24 inches, and it gets multi-branched. It's really beautiful. The more sun it gets, this will get more coloring. Gets more sun. It's been a little bit in the shade. This is an unusual aeonium. This is Carousel. And I don't think it's going to get very big. So we'll have this one that's medium height. This one a little smaller. And then I am going to put in a cutting from Aeonium. This one is called, I believe, Salad Bowl. And it gets nice and big and green. It doesn't get real tall, though. It tends to fill out and get brothers and sisters, but it doesn't get real tall. With the aeoniums, there's some they call arboreal, so they tend to get tall and branch out, whereas others tend to spread more. So I'm not really going to do too much on the surface here. I might put some bigger rocks in here just to kind of anchor it. And I'm just going to let this grow up. It's going to be pretty just the way it is. Getting some rock to all my rocks from the beach. bury them a little. This is mainly just to kind of anchor things, and I don't know, the plants seem to like them for some reason. I'll put one in here that sticks up a little. Okay, so that's it for this garden. I'm gonna clean all these up and then we can have a final little show.